IVM.
There's a quick survey to fill out on ivmpodcast.com/survey. It lets us know a little bit more about who's listening to us. And you know what? We're going to do a few prizes. So, we'll do a random drawing of maybe 10 people and we'll send you all some swag. Remember, that's ivmpodcast.com/survey where you can fill out the survey.
Hey everyone, welcome to Shunya One, episode 176. Today I'm talking to Mr. Amit Khatri, who's the co-founder of an awesome brand called Noise. And if you haven't heard about them, especially from the name, Noise is actually one of the largest, I would say, digital accessories and products brand definitely in the country. In fact, they are the number one smartwatch brand in India. And I think one of the largest in Asia as well. These guys have been building products in this space for a long time now. And I had a really interesting conversation with Amit about why he chose to get into this kind of a business, what he hails from, how they, think about product first, design first as a philosophy in choosing to build what they're building, and a whole lot more. Very interesting conversation. Stay tuned as we jump in right after this short break.
Are you looking for finance products and services that can enhance your personal finance experience? Are you looking for a space to talk about your financial product or service? And are you looking for a crisp talk show where the conversation is all about money? Well, your search ends here. Hi, my name is Anupam Gupta and I'm host of the Paisa Paisa podcast, and I invite you for the conversation about your personal finance on each Monday on the IVM Podcast app or the website or on any podcast streaming platforms. See you folks.
Hey Amit, welcome to Shunya One. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Doing well. In fact, I know we had a little bit of setting up to do. Are you wearing your favorite pair of headphones today?
Yeah.
Awesome. And, welcome to the show. We talk about a lot of stuff about, why people start up, why people build the products and companies that they do. I'd love to ask you a little bit about your background and, how you got into this business maybe, or what brought about the idea for building the brand. If you could give us your background.
Yeah. I hail from a small city called Bikaner. Did my schooling out of there, then moved to Kanpur for graduation there. Did my grad from Stats Maths, and then, entered into NIFT. NIFT is a school known for fashion design.
Yeah.
I did a course from what do you call fashion management out of there. And then did my first job working in manufacturing setup where I was leading the design and supply chain vertical for them. So interestingly, there I got exposed to brands like H&M, Zara. I realized that how important is design aspect. Design is always just not looking good. It's all about being simple and easy to use and looking good. From then on, I worked there for 3.5 years. I realized that I can do something on my own a little better. There were problems which I solved in that organization. I thought, let's solve it for all others there. So I did my first startup, which was into B2B business, where we were product development partners for these international brands. And honestly, that was good learning for me because I was based out of Hong Kong most of the time. Used to travel across a lot. Traveling to West was the key. And then there we realized actually, there is a big gap in the Indian market. If you have to buy something, either there was premium brands which were available or there were cheap Chinese knockoff. And then on we realized it is important to build something. And during working with these brands really helped me in, we realized that it's not always the cheapest which survives actually. If you look at brands like Zara and H&M, they're never the cheapest.
Yeah.
They give they give the product at the right price. And that's how it started coming into me. And then I did that startup for 5-6 years, ran that. And from then on, I learned agility. And interestingly, I always felt like let's do something for consumer directly because we are building B2B businesses. And Gaurav, my younger cousin, is my co-founder. So he's a commercial pilot.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
Yeah. He's a commercial pilot. So when we started, maybe he was 22. I was maybe early 30s. and then on, we had some problems. There was an inflection point in Indian market where the feature phone market was moving to the smartphone market. We realized that we are facing problems. We had to buy something. We had to buy it from overseas.
Right.
That's how we realized there is a millennial consumer who is looking to solve a problem, and let's solve it for everyone. That's how we started this brand.
Wonderful. And this was way back, I think, 2014 is when you officially launched?
Yeah. In late 2014, we started Noise, and that was a time when Chinese players were entering the Indian market. So there was an inflection point, where we all were using feature phone and we're moving to a smartphone thing.
Right. So what kind of products did you start with? I know was it always what you thought it would be today, like your sort of large portfolio, or did you say let's try something first and then go from there?
No. So you please. When we started early on, we realized that accessory is a space where we were struggling actually. We wanted to buy nice mobile covers for ourselves. We were iPhone users actually that time, and there were nothing available. So we started from accessories as a space, and we entered this tech domain from there. Then we started interacting with consumers, and then in late 2018 we had some knowledge of the space, and then we had some loyal consumer base actually of ours. And then on we realized let's move next. And I was into myself a little bit into fitness, so I had to buy a watch and smartwatch. So that time Fitbit was the only option available. In fact, Apple I think was not there.
I'm still using one. Yeah.
So I think you were the very loyal customer of Fitbit who is still using in their last leg.
Yeah, I know. Post Google, it's more of a Google syndrome, I guess. All my data is there anyway, might as well.
We wanted to buy a watch for ourselves and it was not there, and that's how we started let's solve this problem for everyone, and let's build a connected lifestyle brand which would solve the need for people like us.
And if you can tell me about the difference between doing a business like this. See, today I would say we are now in the era of D2C, so to speak, where people understand that Indian brands and homegrown brands are available. They're high quality. You can buy directly from them. There's a lot of trust established in the market. This was not the case in 2014, 2018 even. How did you go about, let's say, just representing yourselves and winning a category, so to speak?
So you are absolutely right. When we started in 2014, this was not the case, but we realized that we ourselves are facing a problem, and honestly, marketplaces were not the right place, right spot that time, because they were too cluttered. So we started first with a website only, and we realized that it is important to stay true to the consumer, stay connected to them. It was a little tough in the beginning, but we saw good response out of there. Customer
and this was
showed
in addition to your distribution, like physical distribution.
No, physical. Okay, when you start, we are primarily D2C. We are a online brand, so we were not in offline business. We started offline of late a year back now.
Okay, all right. So it was always online from day one. Initially,
Always
just accessories.
Yeah, it was our website first, and then we moved to marketplaces. We wanted to increase our reach. We saw initial success on our website, and then we moved ahead.
This is quite progressive for even 2014 to 2018 period, right? I think it was still the era of at least people just trusting the marketplaces more to a certain extent. So could you tell me about how a little bit of the brand building that you guys were able to do?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what is the benefit, why we did that, because we could do what we wanted to do that time, because when you are on your website, actually you are trying to cater to the need of the consumer, what they want and what you think is right. Vis-a-vis, when you go to marketplaces, they have a different KPI to solve for. Maybe they just want to acquire a consumer, they are looking for some other product.
Sure.
So doing it on our website helped us to honestly sell a premium product to the consumer. Because if you look at it, marketplaces, they are always heavy on low cost. The prime focus is driving volumes. On website, we could deliver a better consumer experience, and that's what we always thought for.
Interesting. And what was the feedback which actually sort of made you choose to go into, let's say, diversify your product portfolio? You said your early customers gave you a lot of feedback.
So I mean, like I said, I was ourselves facing that problem of none of the good products are available. And when we started talking to the consumer, they said, "Yeah, why don't you get into devices which are not available?" I mean, we
Ah,
started talking to them. Okay, are you doing a? We used to start getting feedbacks like, "Are you doing a smartwatch, or do you have any other product to do?" Then we started talking to the consumer. They realized that we want a smartwatch, but it's not there,
hmm.
and that's how we started into it.
And so all of this is as a philosophy. You said it was more design first. It was very like, okay, obviously what is available in the market or not available. How did you make that jump from pure accessories, which is, let's say, focused around product design, to tech, which is obviously harder, right? It's actually, you have to work on so many other aspects of building a product.
So it took time for us. So that's what you said. It took 2018, 4 years for us to do. So we had to. So with accessories, we got a little sense how this consumer behave and what is his likings actually. And
Right.
we put our thought, our R&D, and our investments there, and it went right for us. So we don't pick off the shelf product. I mean, it doesn't exist. I mean, that off the shelf market is the race
Right.
to bottom. So I mean, if you have to really solve the need for the consumer, you have to develop something for them. And
Interesting.
as
And
brand, we always wanted to build a connected lifestyle global brand.
okay, what could you elaborate on that thought? Like, what do you mean
I,
by connected lifestyle?
I mean, a connected lifestyle means anything what solves the problem in a bigger way. With, I mean, wireless earphones are connected lifestyle. If you talk to me, watches is a connected lifestyle. I mean, watch can just do a lot more than just showing you time. I mean, watch is health first of all.
Right.
Second, it's lifestyle.
Right.
Third, it's productivity also. I mean, you don't need to pick up your phone always to read a message. You can reply a message from a watch. You can pick up a call, by the way, from that.
Yeah.
So this kind of connected ecosystem, what we always wanted to cater.
Interesting. And when you looked at obviously the Indian consumer, right? I think you guys were also a little forward in your, building all of these things. Like you said, you brought products which were not available in the market, definitely not in the same, let's say, form factor or price range and so on. So, what was that data that you saw of the larger market, right? Because you said you looked at the Zara comparison. How do you see yourself in your sector being that not cheap but not super premium, just right, sort of?
So if you look at Zara, interesting example. They are not the cheapest in the market, by the way.
Right.
Their perception is really premium. They are right located to the best, the most expensive showroom across the globe, actually, and they are very super fast. So
Yeah.
for us, we realize that okay, we need to find a space for ourselves where consumers are willing to pay a little premium for the experience. I mean, we
Hmm.
never wanted. So our thesis was, let's not go into commodity space because that's too cluttered, and there are enough of brands doing that. So let's find a niche for ourselves, and Zara really fits in well. How do I elaborate you? A customer is willing to pay higher for Zara because the designs are lovely.
Yes.
It's in fashion. And then when we did smartwatches, we came up with a thesis. Here, let's get some product which are great in design, not the cheapest around the corner. Solve
Right.
some purpose for it, and consumers should be able to pay a little higher for that. I mean, we feel consumer exists in all the buckets. The premium customer is there, aspirational is there, and then masses are there. So we wanted to capture to the middle tier of the pyramid.
So what is your current like spread of portfolio products? I mean, of course, yeah, for people who don't know.
Yeah, we are the largest smartwatch brand in the country. We are leading the space for last 2 years now. If we talk about, we are the top three brands in the world in the basic smartwatch.
Mhm.
So basic smartwatch is a watch which doesn't have a OS. So Apple and Google are the two OS smartwatches in the across the globe,
Right.
and we are the largest in APAC region.
Wow. And when you say APAC region again, that means you've already obviously moved outside of just the Indian borders. How was that? And how did you go about doing that?
So we are trying to test in markets outside the country, and
Okay.
still on an early stage. But
Okay.
the market is responsive. Good part as a brand, we always believe to do less, do more with less. By the way, I mean, we want to build less products but do more with them. So our product are made to the global needs. So our product can sold across all the countries.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah,
Does that mean when you look at the consumer behavior, like you
yeah.
said, across in India, you've seen similar patterns for these kind of products elsewhere as well?
So we started with India. Are still India is the fastest growing country, by the way. If you look at the data, we are 3% of the globe last year in watches as a space. This year we
Wow.
are 10. We are 10% of the world. So we are right
Wow.
now focused. We are right now focused and to the Indian market only, but we are trying to test how these products fit into the other ecosystem also. I mean, other territories. So and wearable is primarily just not a device. You do have to deal with a lot of data actually, and there is app which has to support. So app gives us a lot of data insights where consumers are spending time. You'll be surprised, consumers spend the maximum time on sleep, by the way. They want to know
Yeah.
how well they have slept. So we try to work on bettering the algorithms for the consumer so that we can give them more meaningful insights.
Yeah, actually, that was exactly where I was going with the kind of richness of the experience. The product is not just the physical product itself, especially when you're working on something like tech. You also have the app and the digital ecosystem you're building around it, right? So,
Yeah.
what was the I would say, how did you decide to get into just even that? Because even that's building a digital platform, which is another whole new rocket science, so to speak, in
No,
tech.
I feel, see, if you have to build something for long, it has to be hardware and software both. I mean, just hardware. I mean, please understand, we need to retain a consumer onto the ecosystem. So, how do we create that hook? I mean, why should a user open the app every day? It should solve some purpose to it. If it's just hardware, then this is race to the bottom. By the way, you're using Fitbit. You're using Fitbit because it has got a communities there. It has got lot more insights, and that's why you're able to move out of it.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And sleep is also the main thing I look at. I don't look at steps anymore. I just look at sleep.
So steps are fad. They don't exist no more now. It's more important sleep because we spend 33% of our time of our life actually sleeping. So the
Yes.
way is to optimize it, and you will be surprised that Indian as customers understand that.
Wow. I mean, there's a
But
lot more insight. You probably surely do have, Amit, and I'm gonna dig into this a little bit further. But before that, we're gonna take a quick short break and come
yeah,
back and talk some more.
Hello, hello, hello. It's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Storytellers and Storysellers, Vineet meets the CEO of Slum Soccer, Dr. Abhijit Barse, the inspiration behind the film Jhund. On Cyrus Says Cock and Bull, Cyrus talks to Sriram, Shreyas, and myself, Silvery. They discuss the thieves of Sangli who use an excavator to dig out an ATM machine. On The Habit Coach, Ashton tells us how we can make being bold a part of our personality. On Postcards from Nowhere, Utsav deep dives into Mughlai cooking with a biryani versus pulao debate. I'd be interested in that. And on Hanswani, hear the story Antibodies, exploring men's tendency to avoid responsibility and blame fate. Do follow us on social media. We are IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, do tell a friend. It really helps us out a lot. Also, don't forget to rate us on any platforms you're listening on, and you can also check us out on YouTube. We are also doing a small listener survey to better understand how you respond to our shows and advertising on the network. We would really appreciate it if you could spare a few minutes to fill it. It helps us build better shows for you. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsors this week, SBI Life Insurance, India Water Portal, and Jupiter, a digital banking app.
All right, welcome back, Amit. You've been giving us a lot of insight about obviously Noise, the brand, your business, what you've built over so many years. But coming to the last part, which we are talking about, which is now the digital sort of companion ecosystem to the hardware of products that you also have. You mentioned earlier that it's very important for the longevity of your brand, for retention of your customers, having that digital presence matters. Now that you have that and you have an active user base, what insights more are you seeing as to how people how they use these products, or how they or why they continue to stick with you? Like, what's that core retention that you're driving?
so two things. First of all, if you look at industry, we are at a very early stage. I mean, it's a first cycle. We are not a repeat buyers right now. I mean, everybody is a first generation user of devices, so they are just trying to understand how a watch works actually, and what all it can do.
Mm-hmm.
So retention part, yes, it's tough to say how we what is there right now. But yeah, people refer us, people buy noise because the kind of experience we have done, the kind of app we have created, the kind of insights what we give to the consumer, that really helps them to stay on the platform. But by the way, interestingly, you would be aware that 2020 Apple Watch units surpassed the entire Swiss watch industry sales. Apple was
Yes.
somewhere around 30 million odd units, and I think entire Swiss industry was close to 20 odd million units.
My goodness. Yeah.
And India as an ecosystem, somewhere we sell market is of around 30 million odd units of analog watches, which is stable, by the way. I mean, it's not growing; it's growing low single digit year on year. And last year, I think 30%, we were 30% smartwatch user base. This year, we're gonna be very close to the what you call analog smartwatch. So this year, the analog
Wow.
and smartwatch both will have a same customer base, a new customer base.
That's crazy, right? People are no longer. I mean, I totally believe you. By the way, I have not worn a regular watch in easily 5 years, so I don't know
So,
where mine even are anymore.
so we feel
So
this industry is at an inflection point. Let's look at hearable devices. When you talk about hearables, so these are right now at feature. It's like feature phone what we are using. I mean, these devices just can do sound, nothing else. So we see the transition happening from a feature phone to a smartphone. If you talk to me, so next generation of truly wireless will be powered with more sensors in them. There will be a lot of health sensors. There will be OS there, which means you can. So there's the best. These are nerve endings actually, our ears, so they can give you the best health data. You would see them interesting insights coming in. A lot of OS would come in where your devices can go last longer. You can do a lot of software upgrades. You can install a lot of softwares there actually. I mean, if you need a gaming mode where you have low latency, you just need to do it by a tap on an app. You don't need to buy the entire hardware piece for that.
very, very interesting. And what you just said about this being the health angle, right, is I think very intertwined in everything you wear, especially any wearable tech has to have some sort of health angle, is at least what we've seen. Are you guys experimenting, if not even far from productization, maybe, but even with other stuff? Like people have spoken about wearable clothes and wearable armbands and a whole bunch of other sensors. What's your take on all of that?
So we feel the market will be moving there. Right now, it's a lifestyle market. Market will be moving towards the health maybe in a year or so. And as brand, we keep experimenting. We are an innovative brand, so we keep experimenting on these stuffs. So you will keep seeing all such things coming up.
Yeah, but how do you build again? How do you make the decision that this is a product which we should sort of dive into beyond, let's say, market feedback and people giving you feedback?
So we feel we need to fail fast. We should not be afraid of making mistakes. We can't predict 100% success. But yeah, if most of the things are in order, our thesis says it should be growing, the international trends and our consumer feedback, if all are aligned, we go ahead with it. And
Has there been anything which has not worked out in your portfolio?
Very much, very much. So interestingly, we spend a lot of time in building a earphone which is catering to the sports segment. So, people started talking to us that we need a earphone which should not fall actually, because when runner, cyclist, or any guy is going to gym, they spend high intensity workout time. So everybody had a complaint, it will fall down. We spend a lot of time building a product. We invested heavily there. And honestly, when you saw the response, that there was not enough takers. But it's okay. I mean, we launched 5 products, one didn't succeed. It's part and parcel.
Interesting. And this is again, now that you've jumped into so many, let's say, product lines, you're obviously expanding on each of them, covering market share, like you said. How do you look at, let's say, building out your roadmap for next 1 year, 16 months? Like, is it just number growth of the current base? Is it, winning these different sectors? How do you look at the competition, rather, basically? How do you beat yourself in the market every year?
So I think beat yourself is the right question to answer, actually, right thing to answer, because we see the race to numbers is not right, actually, if you ask me. Ideally, we should be doing products which solve something for the consumer. They should be happy with it. Launches should just not be there for the sake of it. I mean, a new product should solve something for the consumer. So we beat ourselves So we are market leaders. We are most of the time way ahead of what our competition is or what most of the industry is at. So we always strive to bring in better experience to the consumer, and whatever product we come up with, we the first thing comes in mind: how does it solve for the consumer? So that thing has always helped to move and stay ahead.
Okay. Do you think this whole differentiation of what you're building on digital is a major, let's say, player part of that success? The fact that you are building your app and everything, the ecosystem around.
See the market. So by the way, India is a big country. We have such a huge population, and there will be consumer. We feel there will be consumer for everyone there. All the brands. So if there are five brands will have the consumers. So we want to talk to a consumer who value that.
Sure.
And there are enough of noisemakers we believe who are like us, who really want to build and value that.
Right. So any more insights you can share about the digital ecosystem itself? Like, what's the kind of customer who loves the fact that that they're tracking sleep, like you said, they're tracking into fitness? Is it just that, or is there more fashion conscious ones also who use your products for making themselves cool?
So the kind of consumers we cater are 18 to 35 actually.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are 18 to 24 segment, you're buying it because you want to look cool. Yeah. You want to be in your peer group saying that, okay, I'm using the latest product. I'm in trend. And in fact, till 35 also, we feel late 30s, actually, people are there who value sleep. Before that, people are more into lifestyle space, actually, if you ask me.
Interesting.
And then people spend, by the way, 2-3 activities where people spend most of the time in the country are walking. Walking is 60% people. 60% of people spend time in walking. Walking as an activity. When you in a fitness tracker, you can select an activity, right. and rest all are like running, cycling, strength training, yoga are a little lesser on 8-10%. So which means majority of us want to stay fit. We like to go to gym, but we go once in a week or something like that.
Yeah, but actively people are still using it, and they're saying they're tracking their walks. They're doing. I mean, walking is a big part of life for so many folks. Even I'm sure the fact that they're tracking it is great.
Yeah. So what has happened post-COVID, if you ask me, this people have become more health conscious actually. So everybody has realized that health is the key, and we see a little bit of uptake in the activity or active time what they're spending.
Very interesting. What are you building out next, Amit? I mean, given that you've had so much experience in the market, you're market leaders, what do you want to double down on? If I ask you as a founder.
So we feel that, first of all, as a brand, as said, we want to do more with less. So we believe multiple categories is distraction. So in Crux, we want to go deeper where we are in. And our categories are growing double digit, by the way.
Wow.
So we want to stay focused on the space where we are in.
And what kind of, let's say, you said you're experimenting with expanding outside of India as well. What is your team like? Is it? I'm very interested to know the kind of company it is. Right? We talk to so many tech companies, product companies, D2C brands. Everyone has a mix of hardware, software, factories to website to to, like you said, this app ecosystem. So which is the perfect space in which you sort of see yourself?
So interestingly, I would say we are a bunch of folks. By the way, my team is average 27 years of an age. So young folks who want to do something meaningful in their life, want to create very passionate people, by the way, who want to create differentiated experience to the consumer. And we are a design product heavy organization. So we do have all verticals. We are, by the way, 300 odd people team.
Yeah. Wow.
But design and product tech takes a high ground here.
Awesome. And again, closing notes, what would you want to tell other people who are building their own D2C brands, or people interested in your industry, if they want to come work with you or talk to you, where can they reach you? Give us.
So on a closing note, I mean, for any brand in any space, there are only two things: customer and product, where you need to focus on. So if you focus right, you will succeed. Don't be afraid to fail fast. I mean, just fail fast and come back. Only two things. And I'm available to help anybody out if somebody needs. I'm available very much on LinkedIn. Can reach me out there. I'm available, active on email. I can be reached on my email also.
Wonderful. We'll be sure to put those in the details, obviously, for everyone listening to this show. Amit, I mean, thank you so much for sharing the story of Noise, of how you built the brand, to both you and, of course, Gaurav, how you guys actually founded this, to the 300 plus folks that you are today. Definitely catch up with you at some point, I hope. Exchange notes on smartwatches, if nothing else, and see where the future of that goes. So congratulations once again. Thank you so much. And for everyone listening to this show, if you're listening to Shunya One, if you like this episode, please tell your friend, leave us a rating, a review, wherever you're listening to this. All of that helps. Thank you so much. Thank you, Amit.
And likewise, yeah. Thanks for having me here. Thank you so much.
Ladies, I'm sure you will relate to it if I say that we are constantly busy with work, studies, cooking, and what not. And amidst all of this, we often forget an important element that needs our desperate attention: finance. So here we are, bringing to you SBI Life presents A Sip of Finance, a women-exclusive podcast where we will teach you how to manage personal finances in a simple and straightforward way with your host, Priyanka Acharya, a finance expert who's been in the industry for 14 plus years. And not just in English, but in 7 more languages. So tune in every Tuesday for fresh episodes on the IVM Podcast Network and all major podcast streaming platforms.